Okay, for the last part of chapter 9, it's all talking about the counting principles and kind of throws in a little bit of everything kind of together. So we'll do Pascal's triangle and just how you expand higher things and other just binomials or like to the third power. And we're going to talk about what do you do if you want to find specific terms. So we'll talk about Pascal's triangle today. Then we have counting principles and probability that will be left in this chapter. Then we'll be finished for the semester. So when you're thinking of Pascal's triangle, the reason we have to use this is we're going to talk about what do you do when you want to multiply something that, let's say, is x plus 2 to the 8th power. You don't want to write x plus 2 8 times and then multiply this all the way out. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to use something called Pascal's triangle. This is going to be a shortcut. How Pascal's triangle is created, this is kind of what it looks like. It starts. What's happening is there's always going to be ones on the outside, and to get the number below it, you add the 2 directly above it. So like for this next line, this would go 1, and then 1 plus 2 is 3, so 3 is going to go in the middle. 2 plus 1 is 3, and then I have a 1 on the outside. Next line would be a 1, and then 1 plus 3 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, 3 plus 1 is 4, and then I have my 1 on the outside. Pascal's triangle can go on forever. Do you have to know it all the way forever? No. Okay? If you can go to the 8th power, you'd probably be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and write some more lines. Okay, and when we're thinking about this, when you're talking about powers, this first line is actually something, let's make this a plus b, it's actually to the 0 power. So your first line is actually something to the 0 power, because anything to the 0 power is 1. These numbers are all coefficients. Okay, they're not actually what your answer is going to be. We're going to use this as a tool that's going to help us kind of have a shortcut to figure this out. Okay? How these numbers are found, and this is why they include it in the probability section, is we're going to use NCR. You have this button, which is the same thing. You'll see it in this class like this. They put it in parentheses and N over R. The formula is N factorial over R factorial times N minus R factorial. You can find this on most calculators underneath a section called PRB. PRB stands for probability. So how these numbers are all found is by saying, okay, this is this. We're going to take the exponent, we're going to take the coefficients, this is how it's plugged in. These are how these numbers are found. Okay, if you have a calculator like mine, if you hit the PRB, it's the second one over. Okay, okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to calculate the coefficient. Okay, when you're solving these, the biggest number will always come before the C. So if this bigger number is not before, then something's wrong with how it's set up. Okay, this is not a fraction, this will just be a number on top of a number. So if you have calculated mine, all of them are a little different, they're all kind of very similar on how you plug it in. If I were to do this on my calculator, I would do, now if you want to, you can do it the long way by using the formula. So if I were to plug this in the formula, this would be 5 factorial over 3 factorial times 2 factorial. I'm assuming most of you are going to just want to plug it in. So I would do 5. I would go find in my PRB the NCR button, and then I would put 3. So I would do 5, go find my NCR, I'd put in 3. When I hit equals, I get 10. Okay, that will give you the same answer as doing 5 factorial over 3 factorial times 2 factorial. This is just a lot simpler, quicker for you to do if you just use your calculator. Okay. Okay, same thing on number 2. So I would do 20, then I would put in my NCR, and then I'd plug in 15. If you want to do it by hand, this would be 20 factorial over 15 factorial when I subtract them times 5 factorial. So if you want to do the long way, you can do it that way. I'm going to do just using the buttons. Your answer would be 15,500. Okay, how do you do number 3? The first number, the number on top, is what would go first. The number on bottom is what would go second. Depending on which way you want to do it, you can do it by hand or use your calculator. You would plug this in, and you would get 56. I do not care what method you want to use, whether you want to use the formula or use your calculator, whatever works best for you. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about how do we actually use Pascal's triangle to expand this. I'm going to make sure everything's going to show up on the screen. Okay, since this is the 5th power, you're actually going to the 6th line. If you want to think, okay, how do I get there? I'm looking for when my second number is 5. So this right here is going to be the line that we use. These are going to be our coefficients. Alright, so coefficients, and this will be this, when I talk about my coefficients, I'm talking about this line. This would be my first term, and this is going to be my second term when I talk about terms. Okay, so here's what you do. You take your first coefficient. So my first coefficient is 1. Then I take that times my first term to the highest exponent. So my first term would be x. The highest exponent is whatever's up here. So that would be to the 5th. Okay, times my second term. So my second term is y. To the lowest exponent. The lowest possible exponent is 0. When I add my exponents together, they should equal the exponent that's up there. So 5 plus 0 is 5. Okay, we'll simplify after we get all the terms done. So then I'll go plus. Then I go find my next coefficient. So I already used 1, so my next coefficient would be 5. So this would be 5. Okay, then I take my first term down a power. So this becomes x to the 4th. And then I take my second term, which was y, up a power. So that would be y to the 1st. Exponents just still add together to get 5. Okay, then I do plus. Then I go find my next coefficient. My next coefficient's 10. I take my first term down a power, so that'll be x to the 3rd. My second term up a power, this would be y squared. I will continue this until I get all the way through every coefficient. So I've done 1, 5, 10, so my next one would be 10. So this would be plus 10. Then that would become x squared, y cubed. And then my next coefficient, so plus 5, x to the 1st, y to the 4th. And my last one would be plus 1, x to the 0, y to the 5th. These are every single term That will be, you will not have any like terms to combine. Since you don't have any like terms, all you can do then is simplify each individual term as it is. So like if I'm looking at this, the only thing I can see to simplify would be my first term and my last terms. Okay, and the reason why is they have things to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So this is going to become 1. 1 times x to the 5th times 1 would be x to the 5th. Okay, can't simplify the next one, so it stays 5x to the 4th y. Then I have plus 10x to the 3rd y squared. Plus 10x squared y cubed. Plus 5x y to the 4th. Okay, then my last term, x to the 0 becomes 1. 1 times y to the 5th, be plus y to the 5th. And this is your answer. As much work as that looks like, it's still easier and quicker than writing this out 5 times and multiplying it all together. Okay? Okay, we'll do one more that has numbers and a minus sign, so we'll just get all the way through it. Okay, so this is to the 4th power. So if I go look at my triangle, I'm going to use this line right here. So we're done with this one. Okay, this is my first term, and this is my second term. That minus sign goes with that second term. So my first coefficient would be 1. This would be times 3a. Both of those are going to go to the 4th power. And then my second term, which is negative 4b, both of those are going to go to the 0 power. So that's why I put them in parentheses. So I have 2 things that both have to go to that power. Okay, then I do my next coefficient, which would be 4, so plus 4. My first term would be 3a. Both of those are going to go to the 3rd, because we take that one down 1. Then negative 4b will go to the 1st, because I took that one up a power. Then I have plus 6. 3a will be squared. Negative 4b will be squared. Then I have plus 4. Then I'll have 3a to the 1st, negative 4b to the 3rd. Okay, then I'm probably going to run out of room, so I'm going to do the last part like down here, because we still have one more coefficient, we still have the 1, so I'll put it here. So this would be plus 1, 3a to the 0, negative 4b to the 4th. Alright, so now we can simplify. When I'm simplifying, both of these, the 3 and the a is going to go to the 4th. So this is going to become, well, 3 to the 4th. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 would be 81. A to the 4th. Negative 4 and b are both to the 0, so this is going to become 1. When I multiply those all together, I get 81 a to the 4th. Okay, when I do the second part, 3a to the 3rd. Well, 3 to the 3rd is 27. A to the 3rd is a to the 3rd. Negative 4 to the 1st is negative 4. B to the 1st is b. So now I'm going to multiply 4 times 27 a to the 3rd times negative 4b. 4 times 27. So this would be negative 432 a to the 3rd b. Okay, so this is all one term which means you have to multiply those all together. Okay, if I go to my next term, 3a both to the second, so it'd be 9a squared, and then negative 4b to the second, well negative 4 squared is 16, b squared is b squared, so now I'm going to multiply those all together. So 6 times 9 times 16, this is positive 864, a squared, b squared. Okay, if I keep going, 3a to the first, this would be 3a. Negative 4b to the third, be negative 64b to the third. So this would be minus 768a b to the third. And then my last one, 3a to the 0, well those are both going to be 1, because anything to the 0 is 1. This would become 256b to the fourth. So if I multiply those all together, my number, so I'll do plus 256b to the fourth. Okay, now if you absolutely hate Pascal's triangle and you don't think it's easier, besides maybe having to know how to do the coefficient part, you don't really have to use the triangle. Okay, if you would rather write it out a bunch of times and multiply it, that's totally fine with me. Okay? Okay. We're going to have to find specified terms. And this is going to be when it's way easier to just use the calculator and to use this button instead of trying to use the formula. Okay, so these are very similar, but it's not the exact same process because on 6 and 7 you're actually trying to find the whole term. On 8, 9 it gives you the term, we're just trying to find whatever this a is. Okay? Okay, so number 6 says x plus y to the 10th and we're trying to find the fourth term. Well, the very first thing we want to do is we want to try and find what that coefficient would be in the Pascal's triangle. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to use our NCR. Alright, so I know the biggest number has to go first. So the first number is going to be whatever this exponent is. Okay, and I'm not going to use 4, I'm using what the fourth term is. So if you think of like your highest exponent, you start 10, then I go to 9, so 10, 9, 8, 7. So I'm going to use 10C7. And that's going to give me my coefficient that I'm going to use instead of having to find it from Pascal's triangle. So if I do 10C7, Okay, I get 120. Okay, so I would have that number first. Then I have my first term. So my first term was x, and we know that was going to the 7th power. Then I need to take my second term, which is y. Okay, your exponents have to add up to be whatever this total is. So if this is going to be 7, this means this exponent has to be 3. Okay, and I look to see, can I simplify? No. So then that would be your answer. Okay, on number 7, we're finding the 8th term. So if I want to find my coefficient first, my exponent's 9, so this would be 9c. Okay, so if I want to find my 8th term, so I'm going to count them out. So I would go 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So this would be 9c2. So if I find 9c2, gives me 36. Okay, so I would have 36. Then my first term. Well, my first term is 4x. We're going to put that in parentheses because remember, both have to go to the power. Those are going to the 2nd power. And then my second term is 3y. Okay, it's going to have to go to the 7th power because our exponents have to add together to get that highest exponent. Okay, and then I need to simplify this out. Well, this would become 16x squared. And I don't know what 3 to the 7th is. 2,187 y to the 7th. And then I would multiply all of that together. So I get 1, 2, 5, 9, 7, 1, 2, x squared y to the 7th. Excuse me. Okay, so that's when you're finding the specified term, you're finding the whole thing. Okay, 8, 9 are a little bit easier, except it doesn't give you the term, so you actually have to figure out what that is. But you're only having to find the coefficient. So once we find the coefficient, we can stop. So that is kind of the hardest part, is figuring out, well, what is the coefficient? Okay, so I go ahead and find the whole term and just go with the number because I think that's the easiest to make sure you don't leave out anything that might be in the parentheses. Okay, so if I know that this is going to be x to the 5th, whatever my number is, that means my first term had to go to the 5th power. So if I want to find that beginning coefficient, this would be 12c5. Okay, how do I know that? Well, my first term went to the 5th power. So if I know this number goes first, that would be my second number. So if I do 12c5, that would give me 792. So I would have 792. My first term was x to the 5th. Okay, my second term would be 3. And that would be having to go to the 7th power because my exponents have to add up to get 12. Okay, well, we just figured out in the last problem that 3 to the 7th power was 2,187. So when I'm trying to find my coefficient, now is when I can forget about the variables and I just multiply my numbers together. So I would take 792 times 2,187. My coefficient for this problem would be 1,732,104. Okay, one more. I got my coefficient. Well, my first thing says x to the 8th. Okay, so if I know it's x to the 8th, well that means, well wait, I had an x squared. So how could I get x squared to be x to the 8th? Well, that means I would have had to taken it to the 4th power, because 2 times 4 is 8. So this would be 10c4, which is 210. So it would be 210. I had x squared that went to the 4th power. which means my second term, which is y, in order to get 10, would have had to go to the 6th power. Well, we don't care about our variables, we only care about our coefficients, so my answer to this one would just be 210. Okay, this video will get you all the way through the lesson on 9.5, which is titled the binomial theorem.